Hello everybody, this is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Gonna make a little video today, and I think I'll name this one "For-Profit Murder," and or something like that. And basically, I want to tell a story here that I think you're gonna find real interesting. I already got it wrote out here on Facebook. Yesterday, I saw a little meme that I thought was funny, and see, here's a guy with a pair of scissors cutting the water, and his dad told him to cut the water first, and so he gets scissors to cut the water, and so that reminded me of something, and so I'm gonna tell that story right here. Okay. Before I was ambushed and shot, the would-be killers cut my phone lines with the plan that I would bleed out and die before I could get help. This was absolutely cold-blooded, premeditated murder, and God saved my life. I'm going to show you evidence of that, okay? It's one thing for me to tell you, but it's a whole different thing when you see the evidence and go, that's what the evidence says. And that is what the evidence says. You're going to see that here for yourself. The only way you can deny it is to lie. That's it, And I do see that all the time. I see these people lying, making just bold and blatant lies because they know the truth. This was a premeditated home invasion, cold-blooded, planned murder, and God saved my life. Okay. But since then, I've had several people show me where the line was cut. And I have to explain to them that cutting off communication doesn't always mean they took a pair of scissors to it. Okay, you can see what I mean with the guy with the water, cut the water off, and he gets a pair of scissors. And that's the same exact thing I've had here where I said, yeah, they cut my phone lines, and somebody's, well, I want to see a cut, No, that's not what that means. That's an expression. Cutting communications, could be somebody running into a telephone pole and knocking out the phone service, and you had your communications cut. And so that's what reminded me to actually start it in on this video yesterday. What they did was sneak in to my home and steal my cell phone and then disconnect my home phone lines. I noticed that my cell phone was missing and had looked everywhere for it, and that was the reason that I was carrying my large cordless phone in my pocket as I had burglar alarms going off. Now keep in mind that I had reported multiple burglaries at this time, and now there's just so much proof. It's to the point of absurdity. I've probably got 100 videos of burglar alarms going off. They shot me from point blank range directly under an artery, and I tried to use my cordless phone to call for help, but that is when I found out I had no communications. Crawling out was my only chance of surviving. When I returned from the hospital, my home phone was back to working, and my cell phone had been planted behind my nightstand. One of the security camera pictures showed Detective Rosie Rodriguez leaned over this nightstand and obviously planning my stolen phone. Standing next to her was MPD Officer April Chandler. By the timestamps, I could tell they waited for the other officers to leave the room before they planted my stolen phone. I would find on the police report where Rosie said that I had told her my battery was dead on my phone, but that was a lie, and I never told her that. In fact, my cordless phone sat on the charger all the time and was fully charged. This proved that she was excuse making, as she knew my phone lines were cut before this premeditated murder attempt. The other piece of evidence that I found was my bedroom cameras were terminated at 8:08 p.m. I was seen crawling out at 10:42 p.m. I didn't do this, so I believe it was done around the same time as when my phone lines were being cut. They were preparing to murder me. They were cutting my phone lines. They terminated that camera. Now, I'm going to show you proof of that. The last picture of me from that camera was 8:07 p.m., and it showed that I had a shotgun. This was because burglar alarms had been going off. What I didn't know at the time was that I'd unknowingly trapped a burglar in my guest bathroom. I'd been reporting burglaries to the police for over a year by this time. Based on new evidence found, it looks like Lieutenant Dickey came in from the now-removed trapdoor from where I'd been shot, and he let out the trapped burglar. It's very possible it was police that tried to murder me because they've been working with this gang of criminals that have rigged homes for burglary. Okay. And so, like I said earlier, what I said, it's one thing for me to tell you, this was a premeditated murder attempt. It's another thing when I show you the evidence. I mean, when I show you, look, I wasn't shot with my gun. The proof shows without a doubt I wasn't shot with my gun. So we know somebody loaded their gun and came to my house and shot me. I mean, I think anybody, any reasonable person can put that together and figure that out. Somebody came to my home and shot me by surprise. Okay. But more than that, here I'm crawling out and and I'm reporting that my phone lines wasn't working, and that's what we're going to talk about here. And that's the premeditation. They were planning on killing me before I was shot. Okay, so we're going to just go through this evidence. And my first one here is I really copy and pasted from the top. And I said what they did was sneak in and steal my cell phone, then disconnected my home phone lines. I noticed that my cell phone was missing and had looked everywhere for it, and that was the reason that I was carrying my large cordless phone in my pocket as I had burglar alarms going off. Keep in mind, fully charged, okay? They shot me from point blank range directly on an artery and tried to use my cordless phone, and I tried to use my cordless phone to call for help. That's when I found out I had no communications. Okay, and here I'm going to show you this picture was 2 weeks after the murder attempt. The truth is, my foot didn't look like that when I got to the hospital. Actually, I had 2 small holes in my foot, and that's exactly what the ER doctor said. It was 2 small holes in my foot that appeared to look like from a shotgun. And I saw it myself. But when I left, then x-rays were fake. The back was cut off. And this big hole was cut in the side, and lies were being spread that I shot myself with my own shotgun. But like I said, the evidence shows that I didn't shoot myself with my own shotgun. I wasn't shot with my gun. Okay, so crawling out was my only chance of surviving since I had no communications. This here on this video, I superimposed the 911 call that I got from the city. I ordered the 911 call on top of me crawling out from my security cameras, and so the sound and the picture don't go together. I put them together so to make it shorter. And I don't know if we're going to be able to hear that. I don't know what's happening. I guess there ain't no sound. But anyway, okay. It's just repeating me crawling out. Interesting. Look at the headlights on my car. You can see them. They're turned off as I'm crawling out. Going off right there. And so I guess we don't have the sound. The sound is interesting, but we're moving on. When I returned from the hospital, my home phone was back to working, and my cell phone had been planted behind my nightstand. One of the security camera pictures showed Detective Rosie Rodriguez leaned over this nightstand and obviously planning my stolen phone. Standing next to her was MPD Officer April Chandler. By the timestamps, I could tell they waited for the other officers to leave the room before they planted this phone. I would find on the police report where Rosie said that I had told her my battery was dead on my phone, but that was a lie, and I never told her that. In fact, my cordless phone sat on the charger all the time and it was fully charged. This proved that she was excuse-making, as she knew my phone lines were cut before this premeditated murder attempt. Now remember, they tried to disable the bedroom security camera and accidentally started. It's the only reason we got the pictures. That's the only reason we found out police were in my house, because they were withholding the police report for when they were in my home here staging the crime scene. And this is when this happened here. This is at 3:54 a.m. in the morning, and I called that at 10:42. I'm in surgery around this time, or I just got out of surgery. And here I'm gonna show you. Here you can see Rosie is leaned over my nightstand, and that's where I found my planted cell phone. It wasn't there before I shot. It was stolen the day I was shot, and that's why I had my cordless on me, and I looked everywhere for it, and it sure wasn't behind that nightstand. But also when I get back from hospital, I'll find it behind the nightstand, and I'll find this picture. Rosie leaned over the nightstand. I see April Chandler standing next to her. All the other police are gone from the room, and based on the timestamps, I could tell they waited till everybody left the room, and then they went and planted that phone. That's what happened, And then this was part of the narrative for Rosie Rodriguez. Buddy said his phone was not charged. She just blatantly, bold-faced lied and made that up. Buddy didn't say that. My phone was fully charged. Actually, it was a cordless phone set on the charger all the time. The only reason I had the cordless phone is because my cell phone would have been stolen, And here's what she's doing is planting my cell phone behind my nightstand. And And so that just tells you that, that's not saying she stole it, and maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but it obviously planted it, and she knew about it being stolen before they tried to murder me, before they shot me by surprise. Okay? The other piece of evidence that I found was my bedroom cameras were terminated at 8:08 p.m. and I was seen crawling out at 10:42. I didn't do this, so I believe it was done around the same time as when my phone lines were being cut. Okay, this is the log file. It's one thing for Buddy to say; it's another thing Buddy shows you the log file. And that's where all the ridiculous people, you don't have proof. Well, here's the y'all cam log file. This is the camera log file. And it's like proof upon proof upon proof. This is proof. This is proof you could submit in court as evidence. And what I'm showing here is it terminated at 8:08. Okay, and I'm crawling out at 10:42. I didn't terminate this bedroom camera. I'm under a home invasion. Burglar alarms going off in my attic at the time. But you go, I wonder why it terminated. Well, maybe it's happened at the same time my cell phone was stolen and my home phone lines were disconnected. They were pre-planning my murder. I was supposed to bleed out and die. They were going to call it an accident and collect an extra $500,000. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. This is the last picture of me from that camera at 8:07. So it terminated at 8:08. This is at 8:07. I'm there with a shotgun in my hand. Buddy always said I always had a shotgun because I had a home invasion. I had criminals breaking into my home. I've been reporting burglaries to my home for over a year, and I even the nurse documented me saying at the hospital the alarms kept going off. The burglar alarms kept going off. I knew I was under home invasion, and so that was the last picture of me before I was crippled for life by these killers that broke into my home. This was, okay, and we're moving on. This was because burglar alarms have been going off. The last picture of me from that camera was 8:07 and showed that I had my shotgun. This was because burglar alarms have been going off. What I didn't know at that time was that I'd unknowingly trapped a burglar in my guest bathroom. Okay, and so here's a picture from inside my bathroom looking down my hallway. My bedroom's on the right here, okay? And so on the inside top door jamb right here, I found pry marks, okay? And so somebody was trapped in this door, and here was part of the nurse's notes showing that I had tie wired the door shut, okay? Tie wired my door shut to keep them out. And so what happened when I come home that day from the grocery store, I recognized somebody had been in my house once again. I've been reporting these repeated felonies to the police, and I get this idea to tie wire my door shut. One reason I did that is because the ex-wife had already told me there was a trap door here, and I didn't know where that trap door was at, and so I was compartmentalizing my house. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I'm here by myself, so I don't need 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. And I took tie wire and I sealed them doors off. What I didn't know is that burglar was inside my home when I did that, and that's why I was doing it in the first place. And it trapped that burglar in this bathroom. I'm on the other side of the door with a gun. So you can imagine how dire of a situation is. Here they can hack my security cameras, hack phones, computers, $1 million underground facility, hidden underground access. They can control the press in America to kill one homeowner after another. They got a dozen secret police to help them break in homes and murder people. And a piece of tie wire trapped them in there. And it messes them up, because the police can't come arrest the burglar. They're working with the burglar. The police are working with organized crime on these burglaries, thefts, and murders, and these criminals that have been rigging private homes with this hidden access, and that's why they want me to move, and that's how come it's the death threats and the repeated crimes and the people going, I'm moving that home with you, because it's going to expose all that, But anyway, here's the pry marks on the door that proved that a burglar was trapped in that room before I'm ambushed and shot. And then maybe that was part of the motive for murder, right? And because they were during the commission of a felony, and the felony was the burglary of a habitation, and then they got trapped. Instead of turning themselves in and going to prison like good criminals, they decided to murder their way out of it, It's just like bank robbers at the bank and they get stuck in the vault and the police are outside, you know. Well, they can give up and walk out, or they can try to kill people and get away with it. And that's what happened here. They tried to kill people and get away with it. Okay. I've been reporting burglaries to police for over a year by this time, and I'm just showing you the proof of that. These are the first two police reports. This one come in November 9th, 2010, and you know, he thinks somebody's in the attic here. Here's your first two police officers. Or I take that back. This one, I didn't even have I didn't even think about people in the attic. That was before, I just knew somebody broke in my home. And this one was a couple months later in January 8, 2011. And that's the first time that I recognized that somebody's in my attic. I was scared to death, And now I've documented homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, multiple other states reporting people in the attic. And it is very scary because we know these are dangerous criminals. That we got to, and more than that, if the police corruption makes them even more dangerous, because if you call the police and try to get them arrested, you might end up dead and murdered. That's what it looks like. And then here they, calling you crazy is what they did in 1096. That's the modus operandi for covering up the burglary, theft, and murders right there. These corrupt police that are working with these burglars. And so these are my first two police reports, and both of these were a year before the day of the murder attempt, when I trapped a burglar during the commission of a felony. Okay, based on new evidence found, it looks like Lieutenant Dickey came in from the now removed trap door from where I'd been shot, and he let out the trap burglar. It's very possible it was police that tried to murder me, because they've been working with this gang of criminals that have rigged homes for burglary. One lie that I see often, and a lot of these lies and slander and rude comments, I don't allow, to come through and post on my YouTube. But one thing I see all the time, oh, he says the government shot him. He says the government. I see it over and over again. I've never said that. Ever have I said that. I don't have any idea who shot me. That's what we're trying to figure out, who the shooter is. I know who the suspects are, though. I can put Dickey in my house at 11:05, and he wasn't seen arriving on the camera that saw Woodward Naylor at 11:01. Okay, here's Woodward Naylor at 11:01, and here's Dickey inside my home right here. That's his. Right from the police report at 11:05, no one in the house, lots of things like booby traps. And of course, there wasn't no booby traps, because if there was, they would be in the evidence. That was a lie. And more than that, how in the world did Dickey get inside my home if he wasn't caught on the camera 4 minutes earlier that saw Woodward Naylor? And obviously, he come in from the now removed trap door. Okay, and so this is a picture of Dickey right here, and that's him. And I didn't get this police report until 2019, 7 years later. They illegally withheld it from me. And you know why? Because it had incriminating evidence on it. It shows what happened. That's why they illegally withheld the police report from me all these years, because it showed that Dickey was in my house at 11:05 and he wasn't seen arriving, and that means he come from under my house. And there wasn't, I've had other people, well, couldn't he come in from another door? Nope. All my other doors were secured, padlocks on them, extra locks on them. All my windows were screwed together. Why? Because of these burglaries that I'd been reporting to the police. There was one door you could come in on, the front door, and that was it. My garage door was screwed to the wall. I couldn't even use my own garage door at the time. And because I'm trying to figure out where they were coming into my house from, and not knowing that, somebody put in $1 million underground facility, here these just extremely wealthy killers are what they are. It wasn't just Lieutenant Dickey that was at my home without being seen arriving on the security cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor arriving 4 minutes early. It was also Davis, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale. So this is from the police report itself, and it's showing the timestamps. And so here at the top in the blue shows where Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and Midland late Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor arrived. Okay, 11:01. That's where we see them. Now keep in mind, they wasn't dispatched. Their names wasn't on the police report, so they were probably under my house too. And they just got in their car and drove around to the front. Okay, so Woodward and Naylor just didn't come in from underground. But they were probably under my home too. That makes sense. Let's get that right. And Woodward should be questioned. Okay. Because, I mean, what's a Martin County sheriff doing at a Midland home minutes after a murder attempt, right? That's never been answered, okay? And there's Dickie here, and Dickie says, you know, he's inside my house at 11:05, and he's not seen. But then you also have Davis, Matt Davis, Greg Chatwell, Kenny Angel, and Dylan Hell, all before the camera was disabled, okay? So the camera was disabled. Once it was disabled, then they could come and go out of my house. But they were all here before, and they wasn't seen arriving. And I do want to add here, this Matt Davis, just a couple months ago, I got there was a message on my YouTube channel from Matthew Davis saying, "Buddy, I stole the evidence." And, you know, and nobody will ever find out. I made a video about that. Matthew Davis saying, "I stole the evidence," and nobody, just gloating. And you know, and you know, that's what it is gloating about this premeditated capital attempted murder that left a citizen crippled for life, a citizen that was reporting crimes to police. You know, that's the irony. Just think if it was police that shot me during a burglary and I was reporting burglaries to them, you know, but they were working with the burglars that were breaking my house, and that explains why they never arrested the criminals. Okay, do you see how backwards that is when the police starts working for the criminals that are breaking in homes and stealing? At 11:03 p.m., MPD officer April Chandler was filling out an emergency detention form, stated that I caused myself to suffer a gunshot wound. You can see that she started to write that I shot myself, but scribbled that out knowing it was a lie, as I hadn't shot myself. She was blaming me for somebody coming to my home and shooting me. Okay, and I'm going to show you this. And now 11:03. Now remember, Dickie was in my house at 11:05. Woodward and Naylor was seen arriving at 11:01. And here's Chandler right here. So once again, Chandler might have been under my house too, right? Very possible. But we know here she's filling out this report at 11:03. Okay, Mr. Webb showed paranoia to the extent. Let's watch it. He S-H-O. See, she started to write, he shot, and then she scribbled it out, knowing that was a lie. To the extent he caused, she changed her words to say from he shot himself to he caused himself to suffer a gunshot wound to the ankle. Okay, so what she was doing was blaming the crime victim and trying to place the blame on me for criminals breaking in my home and shooting me by surprise. That's what she was doing, and she wasn't the only person that I saw that from. After I got out of the hospital, the ex-wife comes by. And she said, "You don't know how many lives you ruined with your idiocy." Okay, once again, that's blaming me, trying to shift the blame from these killers. Well, my idiocy was staying home and minding my own business. You know, I'm home inside my own home. You know, they broke into my home with guns and shot me by surprise. You know, that was my idiocy. But the other thing that said was a lot of people. You don't know how many lives you ruined. That meant a lot of people were here. Where were they? In the underground home in the backyard where they were having the parties, where it was said they were having pedophile parties. Where it was believed they were having the oil show parties during the oil show, you know, the underground parties in underground homes. And then also the third person that you know did the same thing was actually my late dad on a phone conversation, and I'm talking to him, and he gets angry and says, "Yeah, but you tie-wired the door shut. You had the safety off on your shotgun." You know, and he was mad, okay? And so he was blaming me. "Oh, this is your fault because you tie-wired the door." Well, it's my home. If I'm home by myself, I want to tie-wire my door shut, I can tie-wire my door shut. If I want, I'll run around my underwear. It's my home, right? That's what I'm saying. This is my home, you know? And then you don't have no right to tell me, "No, you can't tie-wire your door shut." Yes, I can. If I want, I can. But he was saying that it was, once again, this is your fault. My dad didn't talk to me the last 3 years of life. I talked to him, you know, one time before he died. And, you know, I was thoroughly convinced that he knew what was going on here. But sadly, he never admitted to it before he died. And so then there was the three people. But I wanted to show you that here. And I'll tell you what, last year, I was at the FBI office, and I was telling my story under the advice of Homeland Security, okay? And I'm in there, and I'm talking to this duty agent that refuses to give me his name, okay? And while I'm sitting there, he pulls up this picture of my, of my bathroom and the pry marks on the door, and I didn't tell him about it, and he just went and found it himself. He already knew about that, and so that, you know, it was real obvious that he knew that I was shot, and the excuse was that I had trapped a burglar during the commission of a felony. Okay. I mean, and that's what, but they always had the option of arresting the burglar. They chose to murder me instead, and that's really what happened there. But obviously the FBI knew that. And I think, I don't know if it's the, what do you call it? The blue line, one police officer, decides to murder for profit, and they all help, lie, tamper with evidence, and it doesn't matter. There's no integrity. There's no honesty, and that's what seems like is going on here. You can't seem to find one good officer goes, no, you can't break in that man's home and murder him. Somebody's going to prison for that, I mean, that's what we need to have to restore law. Evidence shows without a doubt that I wasn't shot with my gun. So we know that somebody shot me, but we still don't know who the shooter is. And, and I shouldn't have to show this over and over and over again, but the size of the pellets removed from my foot were 2.5 sizes different from my gun based on lab report. That's what you call proof. That's evidence right there. That's ballistic evidence. Ballistic evidence puts people in prison, puts them on death row, And then there's a whole bunch of other proofs there that the surgeon said he removed a lot of plastic from the wound. Where'd the plastic come from? I believed it come from these plastic tip pellet-filled bullets. Lisa Rogers said I was shot with a .45 handgun. Laser safety slugs are made with a .45. The size of the pellets are the same. In my foot were the size of pellets here, and it fits the space limitations. It actually fits everything right there. They used a special ammunition to try to kill me with to make it look like or make it appear that I was shot with my shotgun because they knew I had a shotgun, and then that way they could rule my murder an accident and add $500,000. This was a for-profit murder. Is what this was. 22 months after I'd survived the murder attempt, I was found out in court that Detective Rosie Rodriguez was lifelong friends with my ex-wife, who had filed divorce on 5 days before this murder attempt. That was just, my mouth fell open when I found that out. Because Rosie Rodriguez, when I crawled out of my home and I drove to the convenience store, the 7-Eleven, it was Rosie Rodriguez that climbed in my truck and started giving me first aid. I thought the cavalry was there. I was relieved the police were finally going to do something. I had no clue whatsoever that she was lifelong friends with my ex-wife. She was involved in this, and all the crimes. It was cover up. She's a dirty cop. None whatsoever, And then 22 months later in court, because of the protective order here, that's when we find out that the ex-wife and this detective that was caught tampering with evidence and lying, planting my stolen cell phone and all that, was lifelong friends with the ex-wife. And the ex-wife was, of course, the primary beneficiary on my life insurance. I had filed divorce 5 days before I was ambushed and shot, and she's alleged to be involved in the shooting. Okay, and this was the transcript actually from the court. Rosie Rodriguez, do you know her? And what happened before court, we noticed that Rosie and the ex-wife were sitting together visiting like they were lifelong friends, like they were best friends, and so that's why my attorney asked them just out of the blue, do y'all know each other? Ain't that weird? Y'all know each other? This is the detective that ruled Buddy's, attempted murder and accident. Y'all know each other? Oh, yeah, we know each other. We went to school at elementary and junior high. They had been friends, and they had been in communications too. Ex-wife never told me, about this lifelong friendship until after the fact. Okay. When we separated just a couple of weeks before the murder attempt, the ex-wife had taken my life insurance booklets without me knowing. That's what this is showing here. And basically, the life insurance booklets showed I had a basic accidental death policy and a supplemental accidental death policy. So if my murder was ruled an accident, it would add 2 times my base pay plus another $250,000. So that's an extra $500,000 on top of the home and the 401k and all the other, money. That was an extra $500,000 just for ruling my murder an accident. Okay. And I believe they knew that. And some people ask, why didn't they shoot you twice? Because they couldn't call it an accident. That's why. And, but they did shoot me from point blank range directly on an artery with my phone lines cut. They planned on me bleeding out and dying, and they were going to come in and rule this an accident. Oh, Buddy shot himself. He's crazy. He thinks people breaking his head. He thinks there's tunnels here. And now, of course, there's all kinds of people saying there's tunnels and underground homes here, including a guy who ran for sheriff recently. The former boyfriend of the ex-wife, Arthur Welch, told me in 2012 that he believed that she had a lot to do with the shooting and that she threatened to have him killed too. And he posted this to his Facebook a few months ago. And this is 2020. Okay, so in 2012, Arthur Welch has documented, it was submitted in court where he said that he believes that the ex-wife had a lot to do with the shooting, and that and threatened to have him killed too. And here he tagged me on this Facebook post just a few months ago, and here's what he posted on his Facebook timeline. Cops were recorded hiding evidence and laughing about this man being shot. I was dating this guy's ex-wife when I overheard her talking, and from the things I heard, she had tried to have him killed for insurance money. And to hear how many police were involved, one her longtime personal friend. I won't let Buddy Wayne Webb be laughed at. Her final words to me was, I will have you shot too. He tagged me on this. That's how I found out about it, And like I said, his story hasn't changed since 2012. That's what he said in 2012, and here that was what he said just a few months ago. Okay. And the evidence is backing it up. I testified in court and told several law enforcement groups that the ex-wife had told me before the murder attempt with 100% sincerity, the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. Since it's also proven they faked my x-rays at the hospital, I suspect those doctors were involved in the planning of my murder to make it appear like an accident. Okay. And I'm going to show you here, this is a communications between myself and Texas Ranger Strain, and he was assigned to my case when I was contacting the Texas Attorney General Paxton back in 2017. And he asked me to send him the complete story. I sent him about 60 to 70 emails, and then he just quit replying. I don't know if he quit, got fired, or, just incompetence, or he's trying to cover up, maybe he's paid to cover up for-profit murders, I mean, somebody needs to ask Strain why he didn't follow up on this, because, I told him here, but I believe the biggest crime is what I was told by the ex concerning the doctors. She whispered in my ear with 100% sincerity, the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. Okay. And Strain, Texas Ranger Strain, how would doctors make money killing people? And I said, my best guess is those doctors were involved in this sex trafficking, human trafficking, racketeering crime ring. Okay. In the underground homes and all that. But what you need to do is talk to the ex-wife, and I provided you a recording of her admitting to extortion. She tried to extort $1,800 a month from me, and she admitted to it on a tape, and so you could use that as leverage to find out from her, which doctors are killing people for profit, because you're a law enforcement officer. You can see my frustration there with allowing them doctors to go on killing people, and while I'm risking my life telling you. Okay, come to find out, the ER doctor, when it's proven the x-rays were faked, was the brother-in-law of the ex-wife, but she never told me there was a doctor in the family. Notice how he says it appears to be from a shotgun wound, and I was shot with a special plastic tip pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that I was shot with my gun. Okay, and I'm going to show you this. This is the emergency room report right here, written by the ER doctor. And like I said, I would later find out this was the brother-in-law of the ex-wife. Okay, and this was at the ERs when they faked the x-rays. They took the x-rays of somebody else believed to be shot 11 days before me, put my name on them, and the reason was because that guy had been shot with a shotgun and I hadn't been. And so here was what the doctor wrote: right ankle exhibits a through and through gunshot wound, which appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. And so I made a big point of him saying appears. And isn't that weird how he said that? Especially when I was shot with a special bullet to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun, which would just happen to add $500,000, and his sister-in-law was going to get. Do you see where I'm going with this? I mean, appears. And so maybe these doctors know something about those doctors that are killing people for profit. That's the other thing. She didn't tell me they were just killing Buddy for profit. She said they're killing people for profit. They're killing man, woman, and child. Anybody they can make money off of. That's the big deal right here. They're after you and your family. If my murder had been ruled an accident by Detective Rosie Rodriguez, then her lifelong friend was going to get around $650,000 in assets and a very special paid-for home with $1 million underground home in the backyard, instead of getting nothing from a 3-month marriage for allegations that she was working with a prostitution crime ring. This looks like this was a planned for-profit murder. That's why I'm going to name this video For-Profit Murder. This one right here was a CAD programmer from Houston that contacted me. And this was after the woman I'd recorded telling me there was 4 3-bedroom underground homes costing over $1 million a piece. And she was telling me she worked on this project and it was $7.35 million, okay, on permit, the cost of the project. They called it safe houses. That's what she said. She also would later tell me that she believed the Bushes were connected to it, and it was finished in 1987. That's when Bush Sr. was vice president, and Midland is the hometown of the Bushes. So you can see maybe why they'd call it safe houses and how that might be connected to the Bushes, and then maybe why there might be unprecedented cover-up on this premeditated for-profit capital-attempted murder. And so once again, here I'm going to show you, I think everybody can see that it's not my word against their word. It's not Buddy's assessment. The evidence is real clear here. This is premeditated for-profit capital attempted murder. Here, I'm going to show you something. We're just going to walk out here. This is the bathroom here that I tie wired shut, and in the day of the murder attempt, I'd put tie wired these 2 bedrooms and that door shut right there. When I returned from the hospital, it was torn off the hinge, and there was pry marks on the inside of the door. That's how I knew that somebody had been trapped in there. And so I'm gonna open this up, and we're going here. I kind of got a storeroom going on, but I'm gonna show you right up here at the top, because I ain't never messed with them. That was found after I returned from the hospital, okay? And so it was real clear. I painted this whole house when I moved here, Even up there, that's where they stepped on it, sorry, suckers. But anyways, they were trapped in this room here. Like I said, the door was trying to pry the door off because I had it tie wired shut. And so, then the other question is, how did the burglar get out? Well, I think the real obvious answer to that is Lieutenant Dickey let him out at 11:05. Dickey was inside my home right there, and I just been shot and left, and and trying to save my life, and so God's done some amazing things here, and hopefully we can finally get the truth to come out here. And I hope you enjoy this. Share it. Talk later.